Well, hello, everyone. Thank you for taking the time to connect with us. I'm really excited to share with you some of the recent updates we've made with centralized logging with AWS native tools. This session will be led by myself, Michael Wishart, the go-to-market specialist for observability at AWS, as well as my fearless colleague, Abitha, who is the product lead for CloudWatch Logs. And then also throughout this call, if you have any questions about the topics that we're covering, feel free to ask questions in the Q&A at the bottom right section of your WebEx console, and either ourselves or our other colleagues, Jim and Saucy, will be able to triage the questions as they come in. So really excited, a lot of fun stuff to go through. So over the course of the next 30 minutes to an hour, I'll kick off the session going through an overview of CloudWatch, touch on some of the launches that we've had over the past year or more, and then we'll also double click onto some of the key launches that we've had as well, particularly those that were at reInvent. So kicking off with Amazon CloudWatch. I think it's always helpful just to reorient the guests to understand, what is available with CloudWatch today. So although the session is primarily on logging, CloudWatch offers a lot more beyond that. So starting from the bottom, as it relates to instrumentation, you can leverage CloudWatch, the CloudWatch agent, to gather your metrics and logs. And then additionally, when you pull in your X-ray agent, you can gather traces as well. And this allows CloudWatch to provide that end-to-end observability platform where you have your metrics, logs, and traces in a single place. And so this is a great option for customers that want that cloud-native offering for their observability needs. And then also, this is helpful because for customers that need help to minimize their mean time to resolution, so the time to detect that an issue has occurred, the time to identify what the issue is, and the time to resolve it. Our observability tools are a great way to minimize the time to remediate all those issues. And with CloudWatch, we're continuing to make progress in how customers can do visualization with our dashboards and cross-account observability, as well as the ability to gather insights, whether it's for your more modern applications, such as containers or Lambda, or getting greater insights into the top contributors into your applications or into your logging needs. We're able to provide that. And then finally, for customers that want visibility into web page applications, we are able to provide visibility into the digital experience with synthetics and RUM, as well as the ability to understand how your internet network is impacting your applications through internet monitoring. So really excited that we have these cloud-native options to get visibility into your infrastructure, your applications, and the end-user experience for your critical applications. And if CloudWatch is not the ideal solution, we have a variety of third-party partners that you can leverage as well. So we provide a breadth of options, whether it's cloud native or third-party options for you to achieve your observability needs. And also, we understand that customers increasingly want to adhere to open telemetry standards. So we have the agent, which allows customers to ingest metrics, logs, and traces that are compatible with open telemetry. And the last thing to note is that CloudWatch is a solution that can operate at massive scale. We have customers ranging from startups to global enterprises that are using CloudWatch today. So whatever your business needs are, CloudWatch can be a cloud-native option for you. And so just coming through some additional points, one of the questions we get is, why do customers go with CloudWatch? It is a fully managed service where that is secure and scalable. You're able to aggregate telemetry data, so your metrics, logs, and traces across AWS as well as non-AWS resources. And with the improvements we've made with the dashboarding, you get out-of-the-box insights. And additionally, advanced analytics with machine learning to get better insights into anomalous behavior in your environment. So with regards to launches, so the purpose of this slide is to highlight the pace of innovation that we're making in observability. So historically, we typically launch about one key launch a year. And since 2022, we've been able to, due to customer demand for a cloud native option, we've been able to invest more in our observability capabilities by adding more capabilities and features as the years have progressed. And really excited that in 2023, this past year, we've had over 10 launches across a variety of themes for customers that have been seeking a cloud native option to reduce their mean time to resolution. So, at a glance, we've improved the ability for unified observability with a new log class for centralized logging, as well as a unified CloudWatch agent. In terms of telemetry, with LiveTail for real-time analysis into your logs, we also have visibility in non-AWS resources for metrics. So we have metric querying for your on-prem and multi-cloud environments, as well as more visibility into your database environments. From a dashboarding and UI/UX experience, we've made some progress there with application signals for application monitoring, as well as enhanced container insights. So application signals and enhanced container insights is a great way for end-to-end observability for your container environments, particularly for EKS. And lastly, leveraging Amazon's capabilities in machine learning and generative AI to improve the ability for customers to identify anomalous behavior with machine learning, as well as the ability to use generative AI for natural language querying with CloudWatch. So some deep dive on key launches. So now going forward, we're going to be focusing more on logging with CloudWatch. So recently we've launched CloudWatch logs for LiveTail. And what LiveTail does, it allows you to improve your troubleshooting capabilities with CloudWatch logs with real-time visibility into streaming log data, as well as the ability to filter and explore this log data and search for key terms. So really excited that we're making improvements in how customers can troubleshoot with logs with LiveTail. Next, we have anomaly detection. As I previously mentioned, we've made a lot of improvements in our ability to incorporate machine learning into our observability tools. And so with anomaly detection, you can do pattern recognition where you can compare a period of time with logs to the next period of time. And this allows you to do diff comparisons to see any anomalous behavior. And additionally, as you scale and aggregate more telemetry data, your machine learning becomes increasingly important to identify anomalous behavior. And next, for customers that want to leverage CloudWatch as a centralized logging tool, we get a lot of feedback from customers in terms of the cost effectiveness of logs with CloudWatch. Oh, apologies. Accidentally pressed the next button. So for customers that have expressed a concern with cost for logs with CloudWatch, we have a new log class called Infrequent access logs, which essentially is interesting. Apologies, having a quick difficulty with the slide. Long story short, with infrequent access logs, for customers that don't need the more advanced functionality, such as anomaly detection or LiveTail, you get access to this new log class that's offered at a 50% discount in exchange for not having the more advanced functionality that CloudWatch has to offer. So it's a great way to offer to consolidate your logs to CloudWatch at an optimal price. Recently with CloudWatch, we've launched natural language querying. So that's the ability to leverage natural language querying for your observability needs. And most recently, we've also had a webinar around cross-account observability, where we allow customers to do cross-account capabilities with CloudWatch. And we're increasingly adding how customers can apply cross-accounts to a variety of use cases, whether it's internet monitoring or anomaly detection as of late. And then in the past, we've allowed it for metric streaming and other use cases as well for logging. And so not wanting to take too much time in terms of covering the capabilities through slides, we do have a beta who will be able to cover our logging needs through a live action demo, so that way you can see in real time and firsthand what you're able to do with CloudWatch today. All right, well, with that in mind, I'm going to pass the baton to Abita, who will provide a demo of our capabilities.
Cool. Thank you, Michael. And thank you folks for joining us today. I see a couple of tests that's being sent on the Q&A. So if you do have any questions, please feel free to post it there. Our colleagues will be able to answer it for you. And if not, like, we will take it offline or during the call itself. I'll pause briefly to answer any questions that you have. A real quick intro before we get started. I'm Abita. I'm a product manager for CloudWatch, specifically logs. I'll be demoing some of the features that we have launched last year. Okay, awesome. So this is the console view. All the demo that we do today will be on the console with AWS. So let me get started. This is the console view for CloudWatch. As you can see, we have logs here with log groups, log anomalies, livetail, logs insights. So the log anomalies and livetail were two of these features that we launched last year that I'll dive deeper on. So first, let's focus on the livetail. With livetail today, you can quickly troubleshoot incidents by viewing a streaming list of new log events as they are ingested. So this makes troubleshooting very quick and straightforward. There are many entry points to livetail. You can either select the log group that you're looking for. Say, for instance, this is a log group that you want, and you can start tailing from here. The other entry point could be you are in a log group and then you can start tailing here. The other way you can do is you're in the logs insights, and once you select a log group, you can start tailing for livetail from here, or you can go to the livetail widget that we have here to start tailing the logs. Let's select a log group here. So once you select a log group, you also have the option of selecting any of the log streams if you want to like filter down more, and you can add filter patterns as well, which is case sensitive. Once you select the log group and apply, and then you wait for the log events that match the filter. And then you see these log events that start showing up. There is also an option for you to highlight the keywords that you're looking for. This makes it very easy to look for the ones that match the particular keyword. So once there is a match, you can see the internal, which is red coded here. The events that match show up with that color, making it very easy for you to troubleshoot what you're looking for. And you can keep scrolling to the latest events. As the events start coming in, they show up in near real time here. That helps you detect and resolve issues. So with live tail sessions, they incur cost by session usage time per minute. So this helps provide visibility into, like I said, the keywords that you're looking for. There is real-time visibility of streaming log data with a single click. You can filter, explore, and analyze the streaming log data, and you can also search highlighted terms. Like mentioned here, there are 5 highlighted terms that you can use in a particular tailing. So once the keywords match with those, they'll show up as well. Like the ones that you see here are the ones that match both of these, and they show up here. Okay, so this is a feature that we added last year. And if you're using data protection policies to mask sensitive data in a log group that you're viewing with livetail, the sensitive data always appears masked in the livetail session. And if you're using cross-account capabilities with CloudWatch in your centralized monitoring account, you can use livetail capabilities as well. So this makes it easier to troubleshoot logs across multiple accounts. And this was dive deeper in our session that we had 2 weeks ago. Okay, moving on to the CloudWatch. Before I move on to the next feature, is there any question in the Q&A that needs someone to pick?
Yeah, we have one question, Abisa, for the broader group. The one question is, will Livetail consolidate the log streams?
Log streams for a particular log group, right? Yes, it will. And in a cross account as well, as you select the log groups, you can. And just so that, let me go back to Livetail. So you can select these log groups and all the log streams that's related to the particular log group will show up here.
Got it. And one other question is, what's the process for the sensitive data to be identified? And is it configurable as well? I would say to determine what the sensitive data is.
What is the sensitive data? That's a great question. So we have a feature called data protection, where you can mask your PII information, your sensitive data, and you can do that at an account level, or you can go to a log group and do it from here, action, and you have create data protection policy, and you can set up data protection policies that you have, like if you have PII information of the address, bank information, or you can have custom data identifier set up as well. So if there is sensitive data that is masked as part of this feature, those mass log events, when you're viewing in Livetail, the sensitive data will appear masked because you don't want to reveal the information. The data is only unmasked when you have the correct admin role to be able to view that information. I hope
Perfect.
that helps answer.
And then one other question before we let you get back to the standard programming. In terms of one question from attendee 87, is this a feature of standard logging or central logging? Do you have to turn on centralized logging in some way?
That is a great question. So in your source account, the account that I have currently is a source account. You can turn on Livetail. Now, if you have set up cross account capability by going to settings and you have this as a source account for one of your monitoring accounts, like if you go to the view link monitoring account here, in all of these accounts, you will see the log groups from this particular account show up as well. So you will be able to go to these accounts and be able to set up Livetail for these log groups that you saw here. So you can use it in both your source account and monitoring account.
Terrific.
Okay, moving on from Livetail, the next capability that I wanted to touch on is the AI-powered natural language query generation. So this is a feature that we launched at reInvent. We are in preview right now. This offers 3 main capabilities for CloudWatch logs and metrics insights. First, when you click on Query Generator, you will be able to see that it is capable of generating queries from natural language questions to help you get started. For instance, you go to info and you can pick any of the prompts from here, or you can try to put in your own prompts as well. And let's see what shows up. And you hit on generate new query. Oops, and I need to select a log group before I do that. And the reason we need to select a log group and so on, I'll cover in the next feature that we launched. So once you hit on generate new query, the query is updated and you can see that it's helped you create the query for you. It provides line by line explanation as well on why the syntax was generated so that you can learn the query syntax if it's helpful. And it also helps you refine your existing queries using natural language instructions. This particular feature is currently preview in US East and US West. So if you are using your accounts in those regions, you'll be able to leverage the new query generator to be able to generate your queries, and hopefully it's helpful. There is also a thumbs up if it's helpful or not, so that it'll be helpful for us to fine tune the prompts even more. But let me quickly pause here on the query gen capability, which is AI powered, to see if you have any questions before we move on to the next feature.
We'll give 10 seconds to see if there's any questions. So far, nothing. Okay, here's on the recording. We'll look to post this recording after this date and share it with the attendee list.
Awesome. And I know
That's
we
it.
also referenced the cross-account webinar, so we will make sure to share the webinar from the cross-account session, because a lot of questions that we saw was related to that as well, on how you can use cross-account with Livetail. What are the cross-account capabilities? So you'll be able to benefit from the recording of that webinar as well.
Oh, here we go. Let me say, here's a couple other questions. So can the language be trained, i.e. to hunt for business events, or is it always out of the box?
In the sense, what do you mean by business events?
Maybe for custom events, potentially.
So okay, that's a great question. So what this does is, as you have your common queries, or you are trying to troubleshoot and you're trying to put in your prompt for maybe a query that you're trying to type in here and you're struggling to understand how to go about it, this is helpful. But not so much if you have like a very custom kind of a question that you want to put in. The prompt works great for any of the generic questions that you have, or any of the common questions that you want to go about with. With that being said, we are still like fine tuning the prompt.
Just real quick to add to that, this is the query language is based on a generalized LLM, large language model, and it's not customizable at this point.
And then one other question is there a resource documentation library to learn the search language apart from query generator?
I don't think so, but again, these are like Jim called out, tied to large language model. So it is pretty generic out there of what we use with AWS, and those libraries should help.
Maybe the question is more about documentation on the logs insights query language itself, and we do have documentation for that. And just real quick, we are also looking for beta testers for other languages that we're adding. So if anyone's interested, let us know.
Great.
Yeah, if you're looking for documentation specific to logs insights, we have a lot of them that's publicly available.
All right, perfect.
Awesome. Some really great questions. Moving on to the infrequent access log class that was earlier touched upon by my colleague Michael. So in the log groups, prior to this launch, all the log groups that you were creating was only in one log class, which is the standard. But moving forward, in reInvent, we launched a new log class for you to be able to do these trade-offs on the cost and feature on based on your utility of the logs. Not all logs are same. Some you query frequently, you're using it for operational troubleshooting, versus some of your other logs, you use it only for your after the fact analysis, or there is a need to be able to log them. So not all logs are equal. With that in mind, we launched a new log class, which is the infrequent access log class. When you go to create a new log group and say you enter, now you will have the option to choose between the standard and infrequent access. Now, if you're wondering or you want to learn more, you can see what both of these log classes offer. Standard is what you would use for majority of your log types, for all your operational logs. It includes all the capabilities that we are covering today, like livetail, alarming, data protection that we touched on, the one that I'll be talking about, which is the anomaly detection, patterns, all of it is part of standard. But again, if your basic usage is just a tailored set of capabilities where you want to ingest, you hardly query on those logs, and you just want to store, then infrequent access might be a log class that you can benefit from. One important thing to call out is once your log class is set, you cannot switch them. For instance, if I've created this test in standard, it is going to be in standard. I cannot switch to infrequent access. So you need to evaluate which of these log classes they need to be in, and then you'll be able to create them. The other thing to note is once you come on this page, you'll be able to filter by what log classes we have, and this gives a good snapshot of what features are there, what is the retention, and what features are supported versus not. There is also a documentation around it that you can find in CloudWatch documentation that should help you understand what features we support. Now, the main usage of this log class that I mentioned was with logs insights. So the reason, again, the query generator was asking you to select a log group, or some of it was not, is because this feature is available, and then you go to query gen, you will see that it's supported only for standard log class. But what this will help is your after the fact analysis, like you want to be able to query them over a long period of time. You should be able to do it with this log class. And once you have selected a particular log group in a log class, you will see how the other log class gets disabled. This makes it very easy for you to query. And livetail is disabled for this log class as well. Let me pause here to see if you have any questions on our infrequent access.
So one question, Abhita, is will there be a re-index type feature in the future for log groups, or is the strategic solution that log groups are always set in stone? So I guess to the extent that you're able to, okay, perfect. Never mind, it's been answered in the Q&A. So something that's upcoming.
Okay, perfect. Was the question related to the switching? I mean, in my view, with my screen share, I'm not able to see the chat, but glad it's answered.
And then here's another question that's, I think, pretty common. How would you change the log class if you had to do so? If it's not changeable, would you have to recreate the service?
That's a great question. At this point, yes, you need to be able to recreate the service, recreate the log group. You can create a new log group, or you can delete the existing log group and recreate it. That is the only way that you can do it. And the reason why we did not launch it as part of GA was also the fact that with some of the features that we had launched, which is available only in the advanced log class, like it becomes hard if the switching goes back and forth until you get used to the log group itself, so that you understand which features are supported in what, so that you don't accidentally switch it to a lower class log class and realize you have lost some of the important capabilities that you would need.
Perfect. And I think that covers the questions.
Awesome. So moving on to the next feature that we launched, which is the anomaly detection. So you can go to log anomaly today, and you can create a log anomaly detector for each log group. What the detector does is it scans the logs events ingested into the log group to find the anomalies in the log data. Let's go here. So this particular feature uses machine learning and pattern recognition to establish the baselines of a typical log content. So let us create probably one. Oh, I already created one for this. So let's probably pick one here. And then you can give the detector a name, and you will also have the opportunity to evaluate the frequency. You can set it here. You can have the filter patterns, which is optional if that's important to you. And then we have this advanced configuration where you have, by default, it's 21 days where the anomaly visibility period is, but you can change that to what number you want and you can activate it. One thing to note is there is a limit of 15 that I already exceeded. But once it's created, it will take some time. The training can take almost up to 15 minutes. After the training is complete, it begins to analyze the incoming logs to identify anomalies, and they are displayed in the console here for you to examine. So a couple of things to note. Once you see this window, you can see you have accurate or not, but other fields as well. The one that you see here specifically, I'll touch upon. So fields within these patterns are called tokens, and these that you see are dynamic tokens. Like, for instance, the ones that occur very pretty frequently, like error codes or timestamps or request IDs could be like dynamic tokens. And one thing that I did want to call out with the fields is you see the anomaly here with the severity error. So there are 3 severities that can happen: fatal, error, or warn. And the priority is automatically assigned. It's automatically computed based on the severity of the pattern and the amount of deviation from the expected value. For instance, if the token value suddenly increases by 500%, the anomaly might be high, even if the severity is none. So it's a combination of both that determine what the priority looks like. And then you have the anomaly trend here, and then you have the loss detection time. If this is not the anomaly that you want to see, you have the option to be able to suppress them as well. Actions, and then you can suppress, and you can also specify the suppress duration, 1 hour, 1 day, whatever it needs to be, and then you can suppress the patterns as well for all the current future anomalies that is linked. Once you have suppressed, you will be able to, let me show one here, action suppress. You can go here and you can see what you have suppressed, and you will be able to unsuppress the anomaly that you have suppressed. So, and going back to anomalies, now you can see they're all listed here. You're also able to create alarms on them. So you create here and you can create an alarm so that you can be notified of any future potential events, and then you can inspect them from here. So you have this pattern here that helps you inspect what is happening with those. There are 2 views that you have here. If this view is not something that you like, you can move it to this view, and then you'll be able to inspect them here. The other thing that you can do is you can click on it. If you want to view it directly in Logs Insights, that is an option that you can do as well, and it shows up in the Logs Insights. And that's what I wanted to cover here. And again, you can start tailing on them if you want to troubleshoot and figure out what's going on. Okay, so this particular feature with log anomalies that you have here is well suited for like application logs and other type of logs where most log entries fit typical patterns. Log group with events that contain a log level or severity keywords such as info, error, debug are very suited for like log anomaly detection. But this kind of anomaly is not suited for log events with extremely long JSON structures, like for instance, CloudTrail logs. Pattern analysis analyzes only up to the first 100 characters of a log line. So any characters beyond those limits are usually skipped. There is also a lot of documentation that you can find on this particular feature in CloudWatch log. And before we move on to Q&A, there is this other part that I wanted to cover with the pattern, which goes hand in hand. So let me go to a log group here. And then you run a query. And you can see the log even show up here, but you have something called pattern, which is a tab that we added, which is similar to the log anomaly part that we saw here, that we saw earlier. So we have something called the event count, event ratio, and severity type. Like I mentioned earlier, there are 4 error warning, info and debug. With event ratio, this is the ratio of log events from a selected period and specified log groups that match an identified pattern. So 9% is 9% is what it matches to. And we have the event count here, which is a count of number of log events from a selected time period. Then you have the pattern. Pretty much you can go here and inspect. We also added pattern as a command. So in case you want to do this, instead of going to the pattern tab, like you can modify the query to include pattern. And with pattern, what you can do is you can also combine like filter, parse, sort commands to identify patterns in more fine-tuned queries. So this is a combination of filter and pattern, but you can use other combination with parse, sort to fine-tune them as well. So this pattern is like a structured text structure that occurs in your log fields. You can use it to surface emerging trends, monitor known errors, and identify frequently occurring or high-cost log lines. So you run the query here and you will see exactly what pattern matches it. Makes it easy for you to troubleshoot much faster. Let me stop here because I covered quite a bit and see if there are any questions that you have around this.
One question is more around, are we covering centralized logging across AWS accounts today? We did have a cross-account observability webinar earlier this month, and we'll look to share that recording along with this one. Give 5 more seconds for any additional questions.
And also, as questions are coming in, one thing that I did want to highlight is, as you can see, we have added a lot more capabilities to make your troubleshooting even faster with logs, insights, and Livetail, and anomalies in general. So we are super excited for you to try them out and provide any feedback that you have.
All right, it looks like all the questions have been answered. Correct. All right, yeah, feel free to move forward, Abita.
Okay, perfect. So I think this pretty much covers what we were looking for in terms of the features that we have launched. I've gone over some of the key highlights we had with data protection, with infrequent access, with log anomalies, pattern command, Livetail. But because there were a couple of questions on the cross account bet, probably I'll take a couple of minutes to walk through the cross account while we do share the webinar with you on the detail of what it entails. So the cross account today, how it works is you have a source account that is linked to a monitoring account. So a monitoring account can have around a max of 100,000 source account link. This is a view. You come to settings and then you see this view, and then you can, if you want to configure this account to be a monitoring account, you hit on configure here, or you can configure from here, view linked source account. So if you click on something, which is one of the monitoring account that you have shared, a feature that we launched, I believe a month ago, was being able to edit your resources. So initially, when we launched cross account, you could only share all your logs and metrics. But moving forward, in case you don't want to share all your logs and you want to be able to filter them, you have 2 views here, the builder view and the editor view. In the builder view, you can select what log groups you want. Like, let me go back here. So you have equals, does not equals, contain, does not contain, starts with, does not start with. So you can use like prefixes to figure out how you want to narrow down which log groups you want to share with your monitoring account. So say, for instance, I do equal and then I give this. I go to the editor view and then you will see. So the editor view is kind of like a SQL view where in case you want to see sample queries and hit apply, you should be able to include, exclude with prefix names. Like there are many guidance or test sample queries on how you will be able to do it. And once you come back here, you validate it, and then you are able to update. So once you select which logs that you want to share to your monitoring account, or if you want to share all your log groups to your monitoring account, you will be able to do it from here. And then you see that they will be linked here, and you'll be able to see what data that you're sharing. And this is how you set up monitoring account. Now, if this is a source from a source account, you can link only 5 monitoring accounts, but a monitoring account can have 100,000 source account. The other thing that I did probably want to share, because there were questions, probably I'll quickly go into a monitoring account and show how that looks like, so that you are able to see how the setup is. Okay, so we should be logged out from this one while I open this. So you go to CloudWatch here. Now, this is a monitoring account that has a couple of source accounts set up. So you go to manage monitoring account. You can see this account has all of the source accounts that is set up. So here is where, this is again a deep dive on a webinar that we did 2 weeks ago, but wanted to briefly touch on all the features that we spoke about. If you come to a monitoring account, you will see how much easier it becomes to troubleshoot at scale. This is where the centralized logging is really helpful, where you go to a log group. Now I view all the log groups that has been shared by all the source accounts, including whatever log groups was part of the monitoring account itself. For instance, with the account label, this particular log group belongs to this account versus these are the account labels from the other accounts which shared their log groups. Now you can go to Livetail and you can select the log groups that you want across all of these accounts, and you will be like the same one. Let's go to the same one we used. We had a shadow log group, right? And then you will be able to start Livetailing from here. So this is, I think, one of the questions that was there earlier on. Can you use it for source and monitoring? Absolutely, you can use it for both. And it in fact makes it much easier to troubleshoot in your centralized logging, because you can select log groups across all the different accounts that you have. So that is what I wanted to briefly touch on. And then all the features that we spoke about with log anomalies, or we have logs insights, query generator, all of it works with your centralized account. So if you want to explore more on centralized account, this might be one of the right approaches or ways to go to be able to scale and have centralized logging. Let me briefly pause there and see if there is any questions.
One question is, can logs be emailed blacked out from the centralized logging account? Is that using a Lambda like we're using in the distributed accounts? And then just a comment, it would be really nice to have a service to distribute log alerts other than SNS.
The question on can logs be emailed or slacked out? What does that mean? Do you mean you can egress the logs using
Correct,
Lambda?
yeah.
So that is a great question. So today with centralized account, how we look at it is being able to troubleshoot faster, being able to query on it better. So the use cases that we have with centralized logging support more towards how you can troubleshoot much quickly with all the capabilities we offer, less around being able to egress out. But that being said, that is a great use case. So we don't have it today, but it might, we will take this feedback.
All right. And it looks like the other questions have been answered. So Abhita, I could, if it makes sense, I could finish off the last 2 slides with the associated resources and the feedback survey, and we can go from there.
Sounds good. Go
Great.
for it.
All right, perfect. Yeah, I'm about to share my screen. Before I do that, we will share a link after this meeting, but if the audience could provide feedback to the survey, then that would be greatly appreciated as we look to improve these webinars and how we provide updates to our customers going forward. But before I provide the survey link in the QR code format, here's a list of resources that if the audience is interested in learning more at a self-learning pace, feel free to copy these links, and we'll also look to share these links via email after this meeting as well. So we have the One Observability Workshop. which is essentially a list of materials to give you a sense of how you can use the different capabilities of CloudWatch and observability best practices to help guide you on your maturity with our observability tools, as well as some other services such as the accelerator to help you get up and running, and then the skill builder which is another forum to teach you best practices with our observability tools. And lastly, we have a feedback survey. So if the team is able to maybe spend a couple minutes to provide feedback, you can take your phones out and look at the QR code, and I'll take you to the survey link. So if you're able to provide feedback, it would be greatly appreciated as we look to continually improve how we engage customers and share best practices on using our tools today. So I'll give about 30 seconds for the audience to click on the survey link and provide feedback. And we'll also provide a link separately via email as well. And I want to give a big thank you to Abitha, Jim, and Sasi for the work they've done. They're making a lot of great progress in our products to date. And as has been previously mentioned, although we're not able to dive too deep onto the roadmap, feel free to reach out to your account manager or your contact from AWS and see if you can get connected with some of the product specialists to learn more about what we're looking to evolve our products going forward and how our products will improve in the near future. And we're also always looking for beta participants, so see if there's a way for you to get involved in our forward-looking betas as well.
So the one last question that was there was, in which regions is Logs Insights available? So real quick, in all regions where we have CloudWatch logs today, you will be able to leverage Logs Insights. So that includes your commercial, GovCloud, China, all the regions that we have CloudWatch logs operating in.
Perfect. Awesome. Thanks again, Abitha. Really appreciate it.